Welcome, brothers and sisters, to episode number 13 of the Cornbread Cafe, that new joint on the web offering tasty American roots treats. We're located at the five corners of Americana, blues, country, folk, and gospel. And sometimes you can catch an express to rock and roll at the bus stop across the way. I am, of course, your host, the mongrel, a.k.a. JV, and it's my distinct pleasure to serve up a show I know we're all going to look back on someday with kind of a, yep, I was there, satisfaction. Last episode, we got to hear from Jim Olson of Signature Sounds about the inaugural Arcadia Folk Festival going on September 30th in Northampton, Mass. This time around, we hear from two of the organizers of the brand new Black Bear Americana Music Festival taking place October 4th through the 8th in northwestern Connecticut. Beth Murphy and Ian Campbell dialed into our studio late in the evening earlier this week to talk about the whys and hows of building this exciting new gathering from the ground up. And how cool is that, really? Back-to-back shows about back-to-back nascent American roots music festivals. This type of opportunity comes around way less than once in a blue moon, and I am pleased to be able to bring you the news, interviews, and sampler platters of music you can expect to hear at both of these top-flight festivals. It'll be another lean back and loosen your belt kind of episode. We also continue our occasional series of music in the American roots genre that thrives on foreign soil, Americana Expat. As promised, this episode, we have the just-released single, Little Wound, from Italian-born Violetta Zironi, an artist I predict will be making her way into the festival circuit in the next year or two. Plus, we'll hear from a couple of artists new to the show, as well as making sure we end this musical feast with a sweet finish, courtesy our old friends, the Honey Whiskey Trio. Now, I already know we're going to run over the 60-minute limit with this show, so let's get right into it with our first Black Bear set, featuring the Ezra Group with the particularly smoking track Steal Your Daughter off 2017's Hurricane Wind. We'll hear Belle of the Fall and the blistering They All Came Crashing Down off their brandy new release, Rise Up. And we'll kick it all off with the Mammals, who also have a brand new album, Sunshiner, from which we'll enjoy Culture War right here on the Cornbread Cafe.
Culture war, and I am in the midst of a culture war. My body's my ballot, I cast it every day. I'm just trying to keep some of my demons at bay. 'Cause I am in the midst of a culture war. Flashing in the living rooms, the drive-by, I can't help but wonder what they're feeding your mind. 'Cause you are in the midst of a culture war. You are in the midst of a culture war. This land's your land, we shall overcome. You gotta get organized. something done, you gotta do it yourself. You may find there's some folks out there who wanna help you. 'Cause we are in the midst of a culture war. Yeah, we are in the midst of a culture war.
I know you gotta find congregation. I know you sleep with your shotgun loaded, no lock on the front door. Try to protect what you think you own when you send them out searching with the blue lights on. Never known that to hold her tight when she cries for her daddy in the middle of the night. Yeah, I read Proverbs 23:14, and that'll never be me. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming to steal your daughter. I want you feel the most, better call my name like a holy ghost. What you don't know about scary, serve up a prayer, sing a fine Hail Mary. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming to steal your daughter. And you can shout all you want about Exodus 20:15, but in the end your daughter's coming with me. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming to steal your daughter. I want you feel the most, better call my name like the Holy Ghost. What you don't know about scary, serve up a prayer, say a fine Hail Mary. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming out, I'm coming out. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming to steal your daughter. I want you feel the most, better call my name like a Holy Ghost. What you don't know about scary, serve up a prayer, say a fine Hail Mary. Jump twice in the holy water. I'm coming to steal your daughter.
Hey, this is Tracy from Belle of the Fall. We're really excited to be part of the Black Bear Americana Music Festival in Connecticut. It's exciting to see a festival of this level come back to Connecticut. So, yeah, we're excited to be part of it and hope to see everyone there.
Ourselves at the pinnacle, a nation built on principle, a more perfect union never formed. Yet here we stand with a burning flag, torn apart by an upper class as they hoard more. Well, it seems we may have found that they all come crashing down.
Again, that was They All Came Crashing Down from Belle of the Fall. The album Rise Up is Exhibit A for why I do this show and why we all gravitate towards American roots. You can listen for no other reason than the satisfying overall sound, and then listen more closely and hear some of the real genius in the poetry, wit, and wisdom of the lyrics. You find songwriters who fall at different points along the lyrical spectrum, sometimes simultaneously in the Americana verse. I think this emotional complexity is one of the things that draws people from all walks of life, all over the world, to the genre. Certainly, that's one reason that Katrina and Narissa Nields continue to attract new audiences every season to their warm, harmonic blend of folk with dashes of gospel, rock, blues, and more here and there. From their 2015 release, 17. Let's have a taste of what I'm talking about with You Don't Have That Kind of Time.
It won't zip up, it won't zip up, it won't zip up, and that's 'cause you weren't meant to be contained. You don't add up, you don't add up, you can't add up somebody who is not a zero-sum game. There is nothing that you have to lose. At some point you just get to choose. You don't have that kind of time to wonder what they think of you. kind of time to see you from their point of view. It just feeds a worried mind, and baby, you're just fine. You don't have that kind of time. It just feeds a worried mind, baby, you're just fine. You don't have that kind of time. He won't show up, he won't show up, she won't show up, she won't show up. There's no one coming home. He won't grow up, he won't grow up, she won't grow up, she won't grow up. But you can stand alone. You can wait till you're sure you have won. You can wait until you think you are perfectly done. You don't have that kind of time to wonder what they think of you. It just feeds a worried mind, and baby, you're just fine. You don't have that kind of time. It just feeds a worried mind, baby, you're just fine. You don't have that kind of
You Don't Have That Kind of Time by the Nields here on the Cornbread Cafe. And as I've already mentioned, we don't have that kind of time either. If we're going to fit all the music we want to in this episode, that means we better get to our conversation with Black Bear Americana Music Festival founders Beth Murphy and Ian Campbell right about now. Beth and Ian, it's great having you here on the Cornbread Cafe. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, we're doing something a little unusual. We're recording this show past my bedtime, and that was to make sure that we could all be here on the line. So I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with us late into the evening for this event. What do you both do when you're not producing music festivals? Beth, how about you go first? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was a secretary for many years, and just got up from my desk one day, walked away, and decided I was going to devote full-time presence to the music festival. There had to be somebody to consistently drive everything forward and get everything going. So my role is 100% Black Bear Music Fest.
Rock on. So when did that transition happen?
It was just about a year ago this past September.
Okay.
So it's been a year of experiences.
Well, I know if you're like any of the secretaries I've known, you generally run things anyway. Most people don't realize that CEOs and vice presidents don't actually run companies. They just show up at meetings. Secretaries and admins tend to run things. So my guess.
No, that's very true.
Well, I guess that I'm guessing that you probably have a lot of experience in making things happen. Did you ever have any experience kind of putting together something of this magnitude?
Actually, I do. In our town, we have something called the Litchfield Hills Road Race, which is a running race. We attract about 1,500 to 1,800 runners, which thereby turns into about 3,000 to 3,500 total people. So being in charge of that whole entire operation has given me a really good background in putting on events, what's needed, all the little idiosyncrasies, and from the porta potties to the garbage to the water to everything that's needed. So that was a really big help for me in leapfrogging to a music festival.
Now, the road race used to have a party the night before. Do they still do that or no?
It's a weekend party. We still party, but we party in a little more of less of a big, huge group and a lot of small parties around town. But the party atmosphere exists.
Still exists, but it's not like everybody in town on the green the night before.
It's not like the days of the Beverly's nightclub where we all sashay down to Beverly's after the race, but it's we still party on the green a little bit.
Gotcha.
We have a little park now that we go to, so the parties are still there.
So, Ian, what about you? What is your background, and how did you end up hooking up with the black bear?
I've been a professional musician for about 26 years, and for the last 12 or so, it's been my only job, my only living. So I enjoyed plenty of macaroni and cheese for many of those years, and then started to make a real living at it. I also used to be the director of the National Guitar Workshop, which at one time was the largest summer music school around. It had 7 locations all around the country, and it was really an amazing experience. And through that, I got to meet and book all kinds of top-notch musicians and top-notch music teachers and wonderful players. And then I got my own career really going, and I was endorsed by Ovation Guitar, and they'd send me around the country doing clinics. So I just spent a considerable amount of my life in many facets of the music industry. And so I've been having my own independent music career. I've made a few albums, and I play a lot, especially around the area now that I have a family and a kid to take care of. I stick around the best I can, and I've known Beth through the Litchfield Hills Road Race. I've run 19 of them, so next year I'll run my 20th Litchfield Road Race. And we've known each other over the years, and she approached me about a year and a half or 2 years ago or so and said, hey, what do you think of this? She said, do you think you could book a stage full of musicians? And I said, sure, I could. And then about a year and a half ago, she said, okay, I've got some money and I'm going to do it. I said, well, maybe I could. So as it turns out, we could. And I'm pretty excited about the music that we're putting on that stage.
You've got some great musicians. You've got some great acts lined up. Why don't you kind of back up a little bit, and either of you can answer this. And it sounds, Beth, like the sort of the genre was your idea. What is it about the American roots and Americana genre that told you that it was the right place, the right time?
Well, the Americana sound, the Americana genre has always been kind of exciting to me. I've been to many music festivals, and the majority of them around here are bluegrass or folk. It's just a way to have so much more different types of music to expose people to be able to listen to. The artists are just incredible. And the Americana movement down south is big. It's huge in Nashville. The Americana Music Association has thousands of members, and to just go on that website, you could spend a week listening to music with all different musicians and getting that sound up here and getting some of those musicians up here. It's the rockabilly, it's the western swing, it's the Cajun. You can't hear that music unless you're tuned into a radio station that happens to have an hour of that kind of music. You're not going to hear it on the radio, and up until now, you couldn't really hear it at a music festival. All these musicians in the same place at the same time. Yeah. You could travel to them, but now they're traveling to us, and we're bringing it here.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Is that there wasn't a real easy fit in a lot of the folk festivals of the last couple of decades, but now it's really coming to the fore as a growing and resonant sort of genre, which I personally think has a lot to do with the sort of classic rock sensibilities. Some of the DNA from the classic rock has made its way into Americana, some of the country, and old guys like me who, I've already listened to Aerosmith, Boston, Billy Joel, Queen. I've listened to that for the last 30 years. I'm looking for something new, but I don't know that I want rock of today or hip hop or whatever. But then you stumble into Americana, and you're like, you know what? This hits a lot of the same chords. This touches a lot of the same nerves, and I think that there seems to be a generational, well, really a multi-generational appeal to it. Ian, now have you been playing, with these sounds, or do you have a different musical background?
Personally, I come from the James Taylor, Jackson Browne, Joni Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac storytelling lovers of the 1970s, and I love a story song, and so that's where a lot of my music lives, in that folky genre. And I would go to festivals starting 20 plus years ago, and it was new to that, and would sit down and watch these people coming from all over the country to sing, and you wouldn't know any of them. And I would watch them play their music, and my jaw would drop, my heart would drop. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had refound those great storytellers that I haven't heard in years and years. Not to say that they don't exist, but music has made so many changes over the years. And this is really it. And I fell in love, and I just threw out all my old CDs and bought everything that they had there at those festivals, and repopulated my CD collection with all of these quote unquote unknown artists. And so my heart lives there. And when I see, that's why I'm trying to say is that I really want people to be exposed to things they would never believe are out there. Somebody from Texas, somebody from Maine, someone from Massachusetts will come up onto these stages and make you say, "Oh my God, where did that come from?" And that happened to me, and that's what I want to bring to this. Beth really brings that bluegrass, rockabilly, Cajun. She brings that to the party, and I live in that folky genre of music.
Well, I got to tell you that you say Jackson Browne, and that's what I grew up on myself, both singing and performing, because I'm a singer. But yeah, the storytelling, the authenticity, I love it because a lot of the folks in the Americana world are living. Actually, most of them are living the stories they're singing, which I think we got away from in popular music for a while. I think that, and certainly in country, in commercial country, there's a lot of folks singing about, having a tear in their beer and their pickup trucks and their dogs, but they're not, they're not actually living that rural life.
Oh,
That's a great point.
so true. It's so true. I have a friend who's go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Well, I have a friend. He's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, and I'd sat in his backyard eating salmon in Nashville, listening to him sing these songs that he'd written, and they were extremely powerful because he is a truck driver, and he did have a rough life, and he sold some of these songs to a woman who's made hits out of them on the country station, and she's incredible in every way. But when I hear her singing it, I can't hear her telling the story doesn't ring true. And that's what I love about what you just said, and what I see on stage is these are their songs. These are bleeding out from the people that are singing them, and you can tell.
Yeah. And there is a regional difference between Chicago and Nashville and Louisiana and Vermont and Maine. They all these areas and the Southwest, they all have their own particular flavors, which I think is lovely. That this is a genre that allows for a local identity.
Absolutely, and to bring those identities all together is a real taste of the whole country in one place.
Beth, you were going to say?
Well, I was going to say that this area is really ripe for something different. One of the challenges that we face, but it's sort of an enjoyable thing, is to explain to people exactly what Americana music is. We do have a jazz festival in this area, and there are several bluegrass and folk, but what's Americana? What kind of music is that? And that you have to explain it. But just the whole excitement of teaching people about something new is really fun. And then they get that aha moment. The best thing was when we finally got the music loaded on our website, thanks to our genius media design partner. And they could go in there and listen. I'd say, "Oh, get on there and listen to the Way Down Wanderers, or go listen to the Luster Kings." And it's like you go from rockabilly to bluegrass to newgrass to Cajun, and then they begin to understand what it's all about. And that's kind of really fun to bring that newness up to this area.
Yeah. There's an article in No Depression magazine. I can't remember which issue it was, but it was I'm going to try to explain what Americana is, but ultimately no one is going to be able to quite put their finger on it. But you'll know when you're hearing it, because it's not just bluegrass, and it's not just honky tonk, but it's the whole umbrella, and all of the great mongrel compositions in between. Now, Litchfield, it's grown quite a bit since I grew up there, and it's there was no jazz festival, there were no folk festivals. The area has changed a little bit. Do you expect that this will be primarily a locally attended event, or do you think you're going to have people coming in from the surrounding, New York and Rhode Island?
I think we're, first of all, attracting a lot of people who already are festival people. Most of our camping tickets that we've sold to this point are people from farther away, which obviously makes sense if you live very close, you actually can't. But we're advertising all over New England, so we're looking for that draw because there's nothing like it in all of New England, and this is such a central location. It's like almost 2 hours from almost anywhere. Rhode Island, Massachusetts, the eastern side of New York State. It's just sort of a local place everybody can get to, and the demographic here is great. It's a tourist destination anyway, so to put this festival on in the fall when you have your fall foliage, and if you have people here, even from out of the country that are here as tourists and they stumble into this, I mean, what a cool thing to take back home with them and say, wow, we found this whole new music. And it maybe can open a lot of doors for some of these young acts that we have coming in, and it's going to give them a chance to play to people and open up a lot of ears to what's happening out there in the Americana world.
Sure. You mentioned the fact that people are coming from great distances. You have not just the music, but you've got bookended days for camping, which is kind of its own thing. It's kind of part of the subculture. Tell us a little bit about the camping experience and how that ties into the festival scene.
Well, both Ian and I have pretty good camping backgrounds in regards to festivals. Out of the 4 partners, we're the only 2 that actually have had that experience, and it's something that it's almost surreal. Sometimes you get there and you're just living in this community of people who are all on the same vibe, and they're all enjoying the same music, and they're all having a great time. It's like if you're hiking and you get to the peak and you look out at this beautiful view and you have somebody to share it with. So you have all these people sharing this great event, and you might be shoulder to shoulder with somebody hopping around to this great band, and you don't even know that person, but you're both so enthralled with the music that it's really a bringing together of community. And I really want to try to push the camping aspect more, not for the camping itself so much as to just be living in the moment of the festival and the music. And it's kind of like going to Disneyland, I think. Ian, I'm sure, has some comments on that as well.
Yeah, for me, we say it's like going home whenever we go to our festivals, because this is the 5 days or so a year that you wish the rest of the year was like. There is a self-made community of people who are attentive and paying attention to each other. If for the most part, for the festivals that I go to, if you use a porta potty, for example, you keep it clean because you care that somebody else is going to use it. If it started raining and somebody's roof was that one time somebody's moonroof was open, we threw a tarp over the top because that person wasn't around. And you're just sort of taking care of each other. I've made friends that I've had for 20 years plus, really good friends that I would not have known otherwise. And then it's not just the community and the people you get to know and the friendliness. It's the nighttime music. After the music is done on stages, the music just goes into the campground. And now there's people sitting under tents playing, and another crowd is gathered around them. And you'll see some of the most jaw-dropping music right there, whether those people are actual acts that were on stage or whether they came to the festival to watch and they just are performing out there. It's mind-boggling and wonderful. Plus, we have a hill that you're going to sit on a hill in like an amphitheater type hill to watch the performance, and right over to the right of the stage is the sun setting, and the leaves will be peak changing. It's kind of magical, and we're going for magical. We're bringing fire spinners and all kinds of street performers and wonderful lighting systems, and to just make it so where you and your kids could just go and watch something really special happen and meet people who in general are going to be some of the friendliest people you know, and listen to music that'll change your life in some way. It could very well be that. It's done that for me.
And you mentioned families too. I know that in a lot of these festivals, you discover that there's there is a multi-generational love of music and love of performance. Because I've seen little kids as young as 7 and 8 years old sawing out a tune on a fiddle, and you're like, oh, and then you see that this kid belongs to, wait, does it belong to that family or this family, and then they're all sort of intermingling, and you realize that it's almost like a tribe, really.
Good
That's
point.
a great way to put it.
What it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned other things that are going to be going on. Obviously, if you're going to have a festival that's going on for 5 days, you need more than just the glow of the campsites and music. What else do you have going on there? What are the amenities? What are the other events or festivities? I'm sure you've got to have some food there.
Yeah, I'll go with the music first. So we have 4 stages, 2 main stages, and then a workshop stage where there will be workshops in many kinds of topics, a lot of music industry type things. John Gorka and Joe Crookston and Lester Kings, everyone's going to be doing their own workshop. There's going to be one by Vance Gilbert who does a performance, a critique, where he'll have just people from the crowd get up on stage and play one of your songs, and then he will critique you. But he does it in a way that it really builds you up. He's brilliant about it, and you won't walk away feeling critiqued. You'll walk away feeling empowered. And then, of course, we have a cornhole tournament, and we have bonfires and campsite jams that'll be happening, street performers and drum circles, and so that's all of that. I'm sure there's more. Plus, we have bathroom amenities, so there'll be porta potties, but there's also indoor bathrooms. So it's going to be pretty comfortable. We have electricity on site. You can come and plug your camper into electricity. It's going to be pretty comfortable, I think, overall. Beth, I know you have more.
Well, sure. We have one of the things. I know there's great food. I'm being pretty picky with the vendors. One of the things I don't like about some of the festivals I go to is they're row after row after row of the same type of item. The food is mediocre sometimes. It just doesn't seem to. We would just want to bring even that aspect of our festival to a higher level. We've got an incredible production team with Power Station Events. That's our 4th partner. They produce the Yukon Huskies. They produce the Hartford Marathon. They produce the Travelers Championship Golf Tournament. They're producing this festival. So that is about as high of a professional level as you can get. So our music will match that, and we want everything else to match it, including our vendors and what we're exposing our people to and what we're asking them to purchase, from the food to the other types of vendors. You're not going to find trinkets. You're not going to find $5 pieces of jewelry that are going to turn your fingers green. It's all high level, and we're not having a lot of vendors. We're going to have, we will grow. That will grow as certainly our reputation grows, but we're offering our vendors exclusivity of product. So if you're there selling ice cream, there's only one vendor selling ice cream. We want everybody to enjoy the festival and have the vendors make some money. That's not an easy way to make a living, for sure. But we have some really delicious food. But one of the other things that I'm really proud of is that we're working with a lot of nonprofits in our area. So we know for the first several years we're not going to have a lot of money to give back in terms of cash. So what we're doing is we're offering nonprofits free vending. So they can come and vend something and they get to keep all the money. So in a way, it's teaching a man to fish. We have our Litchfield Community Center selling pretzels. We have a women's shelter. They're going to be selling apple cider. We have a housing trust coming in. We have the Lions Club coming in. So these entities can take that money back and do good things with it in the community.
In addition to getting some exposure.
Exactly. Right. And we're going to do a food drive and a coat drive. And we're just going to continue to have an arm to reach out to as many of those types of nonprofits as we can to make it more of a community. Just keep bringing that community effort into it. So, and that will grow too as we grow.
That's important. That's important because that's sort of that that other leg of the stool, which is the energy flowing in both directions when it comes to the community. Let me ask you now to sort of drill down into the numbers. Give us the date range.
Okay, so October 4th is the Thursday. We open at noon. Our campers can come in at noon on Thursday. Our music starts Friday at noon, and we're going to go to 11 p.m. And then Saturday, our music goes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday, our music goes from 11 a.m. to, we keep creeping. We started at 4, now we're at 5, and I think we're heading towards 6 p.m. for an ending, but that's Ian for you. So yeah, and then Monday, the campers can stay over, and they need to just be gone by Monday at noontime. So that'll give them the overnight in the morning to kind of pack up and head home.
Now, Goshen Fairgrounds. It's north of Litchfield by how many miles is it? About 4 or 5 miles more?
No, well, that's probably, it takes me 10 minutes to get there. So it's probably more like, I don't know, 8 miles, 7 or 8. I don't know. Paper or plastic, I don't know.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble if any of the Litchfield state troopers barracks are listening. You find out, wait, she can make it in 4 minutes?
10 minutes? It's flying.
But the Goshen Fairgrounds are the same place that I assume they still hold the 4-H fairs, right there?
Sure, they have an agricultural fair. They have a 4-H fair. They actually have quite a few events there. They have the dog show, and that's where they have the jazz festival. So they're it's a really nice asset in this community to have that facility. And the people who run that, the Goshen Agricultural Society people, have bent over backwards for us. And just as an example, I was trying to line up our bonfire, and you have to work with the fire marshal and the town officials, and through the course of the emails back and forth, the president of the Goshen Fairgrounds said, "Listen, we have a ton of wood here left over from the fair. Just use it."
Nice.
They could exactly. They're just that we're so lucky to live in this type of community where everybody just kind of helps everybody as a natural way.
Yeah.
He could easily have said, "We could sell you that wood," but it's not the way it works around here.
No, not from my memory. I showed sheep when I was a kid there in the 4-H fair.
Nice.
Many years ago. It is a gorgeous setting. It's a gorgeous drive, and for those people who are going to be in the area for the entire weekend and the extended weekend, there's so many other things to say, to do, and to see in the area. I won't go into all of them, but I will put a couple links in the show notes so that people who are listening will be able to sort of get a sense of where you're going to be, because it's not just. It's things are in context. You can't have a festival without it being in the context of the environment where it resides. And I think that the northwest of Connecticut, Litchfield County, it is, to me, a natural fit. When I heard that you were putting this Black Bear Festival on, I thought, well, it's about time, because it's just such a natural fit. I'm like, oh, you'd think that they would have had one, an Americana festival or something similar years ago. So obviously, it took somebody with a bit of vision to do that, and that would be you and Ian and the rest of the crew. It also takes a lot of other help. I saw that you've got some folks listed on the web on your website. You got Nodine's Smokehouse, which I'm happy to see is still around. They did some of the best meats ever, and I'm sure they probably still do.
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
Can you say bacon?
Yeah.
You could buy a 1 pound bag of homemade beef jerky that just can't get enough of.
They still do the beef jerky?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I will have to make sure I leave a little bit of time and money to stock up on that, because that's the best beef jerky in the world. Who else?
Well, we have. We're very lucky to have Hooker Brewery partnering with us this year. Thomas Hooker. I was going to say Samuel Hooker. I don't know why. It's Thomas Hooker Brewery. We're thrilled to have them. They're a very high-end, very professional a company that is just going to bring that level of finesse that we're looking for. And so we'll have beer and wine there. We're hoping to have some local vineyards. We're still working out details with them. But
you talking about Haight Vineyard or?
Not Haight. Sunset Meadow is a local vineyard in Goshen. So I think they're going to be there, and it was so exciting when about 6 months back, I got a phone call or email from Bongo Boy Records, and they said, "Oh, we'd like to partner with you." And I was like, "Our first partner, we have a partner," So that's kind of cool to have a record company as a partner, and so working with a lot of really great radio stations. Everybody's been so helpful and so positive just about the event, and we definitely it's nice to be able to have people that support you, but as we grow too, we'd like to reach out to more vendors and just give them the opportunity to be around this many people. As we grow, of course, we hope that will grow too.
Sure.
USA Hauling and Recycling is helping us out, so we're good for a very young, brand new festival. We're very lucky to have a lot of support.
Sure. Well, it takes a village to raise a festival like this. It really does. And I'll tell you, I've got some vendors I think that I'll send your way for next year. They definitely fit your criteria of being upper crust in their field.
Mm-hmm.
I also happen to have interviewed a fellow from Australia who, believe it or not, runs a tour company taking people from mostly Europe and Asia to Americana fests in the United States.
Oh my goodness! I wish I had known that. I would have called him.
His business, well, he books 6-8 months in advance. But he always books. He's always completely full. Because there are people.
Great idea.
There are people in Europe who are so hungry for this genre, and when I found out about his operation, I said, I've got to talk to this guy. So I'll tell you what. After the interview, I will send you his 411, and you can contact him for next year.
Cool. Awesome, thanks.
Well, we're going to have a lot more. There's so much more. I mean, we didn't mention, just a few of the bands, but we'll have a link, obviously, to your webpage in our show notes. And I really encourage people to visit because I love that you've got who's doing the sort of production here? What's the organization?
Power Station Event.
Power Station Event. Yeah. Did they have something to do with the website as well? Or was that somebody
else?
No,
the website is our other partner, Evan Dobis.
Okay.
He's the genius media design marketing guy we love.
Tell Evan that it's a great site. It's one of the most easy to navigate, gives you exactly what you're looking for, sites that I've ever been on for any reason. And I encourage people to go there because, you get to see the bands, you get to hear the bands, you get to find out a little bit more about them, you get to, connect with them on their either social platforms or their websites. It's a great site. So I'll put a link to that. And of course, I have already, I've got about 6 or 7 bands who have asked me to definitely, yes, please play a couple of tunes. And so this is going to be an episode that is really all about Black Bear Americana Festival. So I'm very excited to be with you on this very first maiden voyage.
Oh, well, we just are beyond. There's no words to say how grateful we are for people who are sharing the dream and the vision, and as are excited as we are to just be part of this. It's very heartening to know that the love is out there.
Yeah, if you're crazy enough to make this really happen, I'm crazy enough to be there with you.
Yay!
Beth, Ian, I want to say thanks so much for taking the time out to speak with the Cornbread Cafe, and I look forward to seeing you at the Black Bear Americana Festival.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if you've been wondering, how does one bring a music festival to life? Well, now you have one explanation. Every festival will have its own creation story, but the common thread that runs through them all is that someone was crazy enough to come up with the idea and hardworking enough to make it happen. Not unlike the bands themselves, really, when you think about it. And if we had to name a house band here at the Cornbread Cafe, it would be a pretty close race between just a few acts, but without a doubt, the Whiskey Treaty Roadshow would be in the finals. They'll be at Black Bear going on the first weekend in October, and I'm guessing that you'll get a chance to hear some of the tunes off their most recent eponymous release, as well as from their upcoming first full-length studio album. And just maybe, if you go, you'll get to hear one of my favorites, Jimmy the Whiskey Boy.
just a nightgown on, but the sun was high. Found mama in the backyard burying daddy alive. Yes, she did. Yeah, mama fell down to her knees, yeah, to her knees. With a shiner for an eye and a puffed up mama cheek. Had a shovel in her hand and a bottle white knuckled, yeah. She said, Jimmy, you're my whiskey boy. You're my whiskey boy. Oh yeah. She said, your daddy done tempted me with that good old brown whiskey. I obliged and took it down. Put your daddy 6 feet underground. She said, your daddy done tempted me with that good old brown whiskey. I obliged and took it down. Put your daddy 6 feet underground. Put him on the ground. Put him on the ground, yeah. Shovel in her hand, whiskey down her throat. Papa's in the ground, that's all she wrote. Yeah, the kitchen's on fire, but mama's alright. Daddy gonna sleep like a baby tonight. Shovel in her hand, whiskey down her throat. Papa's in the ground, that's all she wrote. Yeah, the kitchen's on fire, but mama's alright. Daddy gonna sleep like a baby tonight. She said, your daddy done tempted me with that good old brown whiskey. I obliged and took it down. She said, your daddy done tempted me with that good old brown whiskey. I obliged and took it down. Put your daddy 6 feet underground. Put him on the ground. Put him on the ground, yeah.
clouds sing to sight. Oh, and easy to satisfy. Rhubarb, pecan, pumpkin, apple, or peach, don't matter to me what you preach. Strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, one of each, with a cup of tea, always in reach. Oh, come out of that oven, I'll be the breeze that you seek. Little pie on the window sill. You're my favorite little pie on the window sill. Oh, one taste of you would be my fill. Pecan, pumpkin, apple, peach, don't matter to me what you preach. Strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, one of each, with a cup of tea, always in reach. Whoa, come out of that oven, I'll be the breeze that you seek.
That tune was The Little Pie Blues from none other than the Rad Trads off the brand new, amazing new album, On Tap. And other than to say that this new release is pure Americana heaven, I'm not going to say much else since I'm working on setting up an interview with the Rad Trads this very week. If all goes according, mostly to plan anyway, we'll actually get to hear about On Tap and their just launched tour from the artists themselves really, really soon. Of course, before that was the Whiskey Treaty Roadshow with Jimmy the Whiskey Boy. Now, you may or may not have heard, but these boys are in the studio early this fall to work on their first album since their debut live album, The Heart of the Run. And let's just all pause for a minute to admire the huevos of any band that decides to debut with a live album, right? Anyway, no less a talent than Johnny Irion has signed on as producer of the album, so I, for one, am extremely excited to find out what comes out of this collaboration. And of course, any sneak peeks or advanced audio I get, I will share with you first. Check out the Whiskey Treaty Roadshow's Pledge Music crowdfunding page at www.pledgemusic.com/projects/Whiskey Treaty. Only looks like 25 days of this crowdfund left as of today, September 25th, 2018, to get in on this community effort, so do not delay. The link is, of course, in the show notes. And speaking of sharing with you first, as promised, our new Americana expat segment returns with an artist I hope will be joining the festival circuit in the next year or two. Certainly, her voice will stop you in your tracks, and her songwriting will cast a spell on you. The Italian-born, Germany-based Violetta Zironi sent us an advance release of her new single earlier this month, and I have been dying to share it with you ever since. It's been officially out in the wild less than a week now, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the Alfa Romeo of Americana music, Violetta Zironi, with Little Wound.
Little wound upon my heart, the only companion I need. It doesn't hurt me so much when I sleep, but I feel it the most when we part. I've gotten used to carrying this imperceptible scar, and like a half-forgotten dream, it fades in and out, it fades in and out once again. Oh my love, I'm sorry it's not you I'm dreaming of. When my heartbeat flutters, it's just the rush of falling again that I crave so much. It's a wound that my heart won't give up. This little wound across my chest sings out the truth that I had, with a trembling voice as I confess that if you remain by my side, I'll always love you second best. But it fades in and out, it fades in and out once again. Oh my love, I'm sorry it's not you I'm dreaming of. When my heartbeat flutters, it's just the rush of falling again that I crave so much. It's a wound that my heart won't give up. It's a wound that my heart won't give up. It's a wound that my heart won't give up. It doesn't mean that this can't be enough. It's just a wound in my heart. Oh my love, I'm sorry it's not you I'm dreaming of. When my heartbeat flutters, it's just the rush of falling again that I crave so much. It's a wound that my heart won't give up.
If you love that single, Little Wound, from Violetta Zironi, be sure to share this episode on the socials and tag her so she knows that her music is making its way across the Atlantic to all of us over here stateside. We have yet more brand new music for you still to come on this episode. The New York-based NuBluzRevue has just released a self-titled album that gave me a little bit of a pause. Part of me wanted to save this next track for an upcoming episode celebrating the blues and the blues alone. But truth be told, I've been giving the genre a whole lot of love these last few episodes, so I can't exactly justify doing a whole blues show just yet. But actually, you luck out, because I'm not going to make you wait to hear an awesome track, Think Again, off this 2018 release from NuBluzRevue. First, though, I want to introduce you to one of a growing number of solo artists who are not only performing most or all of the instruments in their tunes, but also trying their hands at editing, mixing, and mastering their tracks, often with very impressive results. Such is the case, I'm sure you'll agree, with Austin, Texas-born and South Carolina-based musician Aaron McMahon, and his brand new single Quicksand, right here on the Cornbread Cafe.
Working around the clock, just trying to figure out how to get up. Sinking in the quicksand, faster than the common man. That's all I wanna be. Up before the sun, not down till it leaves. Save me quicksand. Oh, I'll be your common man. That's all I wanna be. And the time that I give hasn't given back anything. I'll be your common man. That's all I wanna be. You've been working around the clock, just trying to figure out how to get up. Just sinking in the quicksand. Save me quicksand from this quicksand.
You're so bad. You make me feel so good, then you make me so mad. I think I'm gonna close the book and then I'll take another look at you and I think again. You make me think again, baby. You're the kind you drive a man right out of his mind. I think I can't take no more of this. Give me one more kiss and I think again. Mama told me, boy, you better stay away. Mama's always right, you know. But your game I'm gonna play, baby. It's so true. You could do what you want and you know it too. I think I'm gonna say goodbye and then all you have to do is smile and I think again. About it, baby. You're so fine, baby. It's so true. You could do just what you want to.
could be a king, you could be a clown with your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground. You could be sweet or you could play a part with an angel's face but a devil's heart. A heart of gold or a soul that's cold. You can see the devil in disguise. Life is a masquerade with promises of happy days. At the end of the day, everybody dances with the Grim Reaper. You could be the smoke, you could be the fire, you could be the one who holds the lighter. Comfort friends and show concern, and just stand back and watch them burn. Watch them burn. A heart of gold or a soul that's cold. Who can see the devil in disguise? Life is a masquerade with promises of happy days. At the end of the day, everybody dances with the Grim Reaper. You can give thanks and you can confess for sins and guilt and thoughts repressed. Thoughts replied with morality, but show it with brutality. A heart of gold or a soul that's cold. Who can see the devil in disguise? Life is a masquerade with promises of happy days. At the end of the day, everybody dances with the Grim Reaper.
And that last tune in this set was Grim Reaper from the Honey Whiskey Trio, whose recent release, Rye Woman, is a musical and vocal tour de force that should definitely be in your CD or digital library. If and when the Cornbread Cafe launches our own American Roots Music Festival, I'm flying the Honeys out here to be a main stage headliner, and that's a promise. For now, though, we'll just have to content ourselves with an upcoming episode, since we have come to the end of this one. If you enjoyed this show, I really hope you'll help it grow and thrive. Become a member by following the link in the sidebar at cornbread.cafe. I've been your host, the Mongrel, and I do thank you for tuning in. Be sure to drop by again for exclusive interviews with the Rad Trads, the Mammals, Violetta Zironi, Grant Malloy Smith, and more brilliant artists. Remember, links to all the artists we feature are always in the show notes, so support the music you love. Buy it. Take care.